Nestled on the outskirts of a quiet village lies the Forbidden Forest, a sprawling expanse of ancient trees shrouded in mist. Locals speak of its sinister aura, warning travelers to steer clear. Stories of strange disappearances and eerie whispers in the night have passed down through generations. Some say the forest traps lost souls, twisting them into shadows that linger between the trees. Despite the warnings, its dark allure draws the curious and the desperate. The villagers say it isn't the forest that's cursed, it's the towering tree at its heart. Few dare to enter, and none return unchanged. Drawn by tales of the Forbidden Forest, Liam couldn't resist its pull. The villagers' warnings echoed in his mind, but so did the strange dream, a colossal tree with gnarled branches beckoning him. One moonlit night, he ventured into the forest, the air thick with an unnatural stillness. Deeper he went until he saw it, a towering, ancient tree, its bark scarred with unearthly symbols. He froze as a low hum resonated, almost like a voice calling his name. Against all reason, he stepped closer, feeling an invisible force tugging at his soul. It wasn't curiosity anymore, it was compulsion. As Liam stood before the ancient tree, the forest seemed to breathe. The wind, or what he thought was wind, carried faint whispers. At first, they were indistinct, like the rustling of leaves, but soon they formed words, his name repeated softly. He turned, heart pounding, but no one was there. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, and the air grew colder. The whispers grew louder, mingling with a strange laughter that echoed from the tree. His instinct screamed to run, but his feet felt rooted. The whispers weren't coming from the wind. They were seeping from the scars on the tree's bark. Liam's gaze dropped to the tree's roots, sprawling like skeletal hands across the forest floor. One root was partially unearthed, revealing something unnatural. Bones, human bones, tangled in the gnarled roots as if the tree had fed on them. His breath hitched as thick sap oozed from the bark, dark and crimson like blood. He stepped back, but the roots seemed to shift, inching toward him. Etched into the soil were symbols, the same ones carved into the tree, pulsating faintly with an eerie glow. This wasn't just a tree, it was ancient. That night, sleep eluded Liam. Every time he closed his eyes, visions of the tree filled his mind. He saw faces, pale, hollow-eyed, and twisted in anguish, emerging from the bark. Their screams were silent, but their despair was deafening. When he finally drifted into a restless sleep, he dreamed of being trapped beneath the tree's roots, suffocated by the soil as unseen hands dragged him down. He woke gasping, only to find the faint scent of earth and sap clinging to his skin. The whispers from the forest lingered in his ears. The tree wasn't done with him yet. When Liam returned to the forest, compelled by forces he couldn't understand, the ancient tree loomed larger, as if it had grown overnight. The air was heavy, crackling with unseen energy. As he approached, the bark split open with a deep, guttural groan, revealing a hollow that pulsed like a beating heart. Thick, black sap began to ooze, forming shapes that writhed and twisted into ghostly faces. The roots slithered like serpents, surrounding him. Branches creaked, bending unnaturally, and a deep voice rumbled from within the tree, whispering his name. The ground trembled. The tree wasn't just alive, it was awake. Liam bolted as the tree's roots erupted from the ground, snaking toward him like predators. The forest seemed alive, branches clawing and blocking his path. Shadows moved, whispering taunts, and the earth beneath him shifted, pulling him closer to the tree's gaping hollow. A root, snagged his ankle, dragging him back. Desperately, he grabbed a fallen branch and struck, the impact sending a spray of black sap. The tree roared, its unearthly scream shaking the forest. With one last surge of adrenaline, Liam broke free, running blindly until the whispers faded. Behind him, the tree's hollow glowed ominously, waiting. Liam knew running wasn't enough. The tree would never stop. Armed with a rusted axe he'd found near the forest's edge, he returned, trembling, but resolute. The tree groaned, sensing his defiance, its roots thrashing as he struck the bark. Black sap splattered like blood, and the air filled with deafening screams. Faces emerged from the tree, pleading, cursing, warning him to stop. As the axe buried deep into its heart, the ground quaked, and the hollow exploded with blinding light. Liam fell to his knees, gasping. When the dust settled, the tree stood lifeless, but its scars whispered a warning. Liam staggered out of the forest, the dawn's light barely piercing through the lingering mist. His hands trembled, stained with the tree's black sap, now hardened like ash. He thought he was free, but the village felt different, silent, watching. That night, his dreams were darker. He saw himself standing in the forest, but this time the tree wasn't there. Instead, he stood in its place, his arms stretched out as twisted branches. When he woke, his veins pulsed with an inky blackness, and faint whispers lingered in his ears. The tree was gone, but its curse had taken root. Weeks passed, but the forest didn't let go of Liam. Every time he walked near, a cold chill crept up his spine. One day, he stumbled upon a sapling growing in the exact spot where the ancient tree had stood. It was a perfect clone, same twisted roots, scarred bark, and eerie symbols etched into the wood. A sense of unease gripped him, and he knew it wasn't a coincidence. The villagers whispered that the tree's curse would live on, reborn in another form. That night, Liam couldn't sleep, plagued by visions of the sapling growing larger, its roots spreading underground. The forest had claimed him,